Hi guys, it's Pretty Alice. Today I'm going to show you how to make tea-stained papers that you can use either in your book of shadows, as spell papers, to write letters to people, whatever you wanted to use them for. So this is one example. This one's crinkled up and it's a little more thick. This one's a thinner piece and it's got some little dot stainings on them and it's a bit smaller, as you can see. This is half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet. This is a full 8.5 by 11 sheet. You can see the difference. And then this is a, 6 3/4 by 3 5/8 or something like that envelope that I tea dyed. And you can see this is the plain white paper, so you can see the difference. So what you're gonna need is some type of tea. You could either use bagged teas like this. I often like to use just the plain like Lipton teas with usually this brand, but I use cinnamon when I make my spell papers so that it's like protection infused. And then you can also use something like this. I got this around Christmas time of last year. And it's loose leaf tea. You can use any type, of course. This has different flavors in it. Most of these are like, I've drank some of them and it's like they're half full because it's like tubes in here. And then if you use loose leaf tea, you're gonna need some type of tea ball. Then you're gonna need your paper. I cut this down. I'm gonna use this for letter writing to my pen pals and stuff. So I cut it down and then I'll show you how to do the envelopes as well. Then you're gonna need some type of tray, like not a tray, but a container to put the papers in while they're tea dyeing. I don't have the tea in mine yet. It's on the stove making. But yeah, so you'll need that. Then you'll need, if you're gonna put them in the oven to dry rather than lay them out, you're gonna need some of these cookie sheets. And yeah, once I put the tea in here and everything, you're gonna need to make the tea however you want to make it, And then once I put it in here, I will show you how to get started. Okay, so I got my tea in there. And you're gonna want to set your oven to the lowest setting, which for me is 200. And you really don't want to go above probably 250. The papers they don't really catch on fire before, 451 or whatever, but it still, won't work as well. So then you just want to take your papers, and it works best when the tea's hot, but it will still work if it's colder. And then you just submerge them, and I need that spoon because mine is really hot right now. And then you just submerge them, and you want to keep them in there for maybe 2 to 5 minutes. And then after they've sat in there, you set them on the baking tray. I'll put mine side by side like that so that I can do 2 at a time. And then you'll put them in the oven for 2 to 5 minutes. I'll put mine in probably for 3 and then check them. And then you take them out, you let them cool, and you're done. And I'll show you how to do the envelopes and show you how to burn the edges if you'd like to. And I'll show you these, when I put them in the oven and everything. Okay, so I've got these on the tray. I'm about to put them in the oven. When you put them on the tray, if you're doing multiple papers like this, you don't want to overlap them, because if you're putting them in the oven like this, wherever they're overlapped, there's going to be like a white or lighter colored stripe. And I mean, unless that's the look you're going for, where there's like a random colored stripe on there that's lighter than the rest of it, it's not going to look, sorry if you couldn't hear me, I said it's not going to look as good. So like this tray is a lot bigger, so I managed to cram 3 on there, but as you can see, they're not overlapping any. This one almost is, but it's not. So yeah, and I've still got these ones going in here. And you can also, if you don't want to use tea, you can use coffee. Instant coffee works great. I've seen techniques where people soak it in the coffee and then they bring it over to here. They put the paper on here and then they get it a little wet and then they sprinkle the instant coffee on there and let it kind of soak into the water, and then it'll get that like splotchy look, kind of like that first piece I showed you. That's not how I did that. I will show you how I did that once they come out of the oven. But that's one way you can get the kind of splotchy look if you don't just want it one solid color. Forgot to mention, you can also get more than one of these soaking trays going at a time, because this process is kind of time consuming. But, sorry, wanted to set the timer on the oven. You can get more than one of these soaking trays going at a time. And as far as drying goes, if you don't want to use the oven, you can just set them out to dry, let time do its thing. Like set them out on a towel or something, like put one of these out, spread it out, set the papers on top of it. Or you can use either a hair dryer, which will take probably even longer. It'll definitely take longer than doing it in the oven. Or one of those heat guns that you use for crafting. You just have to be careful on that, because if you get it too close, it will start making a burn mark on the paper, and then it will, burn through it and possibly catch it on fire if you're not paying close attention. Because I've done that before. Not caught it on fire, but made a burn mark in the middle of the paper. So you have to be careful with that. But yeah, those are other options for drying. So I will come back, show you those when I get them out of the oven, and show you how to do the envelopes and the burning of the edges.